Welcome, Michael Barker, jewelry designer and content creator, to Kevjet the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Welcome from Thailand.
Yes, Bangkok right now.
So tell me, what brought you to Thailand?
Well, I work for myself. I've been in the UK for obviously all of my life. I had a business in Bristol with my partner. It's quite a stressful story, really, to be honest. He actually had a heart attack. So we kind of were in a position where our tenancy was up in our flat. And we thought, let's just take this opportunity to get out, travel the world a bit. And here we are. Yeah. So kind of indefinitely moved out here just to give it a go.
Wow.
Yeah. So we
Um,
kind of like just thought, now's the time. You know, you don't know what life's going to throw at you. So, we both can work remotely. I mean, jewelry was a bit of a kind of, like a minefield as to how I was going to work it. Obviously, everything I make is handmade in the UK. So to kind of carry that thing would be quite tricky
mhm.
over in Bangkok. So it's just about adapting, really. I've made the collections already, so it's just then going forward with new collections, which I'll just do remotely with the help of the casting company back in the Midlands.
So what inspired you to take that adventure into jewelry making? Was that something that you always were interested in?
I guess like tentatively, yes. I think I've always worked in fashion from after university. Like my background's like advertising and brand management. So after leaving university and after briefly working with a franchise of Vivienne Westwood in Manchester, a group of us wanted to kind of do our own thing. So we moved down to Bristol to open a designer store called Garment Quarter. And then that was kind of like super successful for 10 years. And then kind of like COVID hit. And obviously, everything just got tricky with the world. It was very kind of, you had to like change the way retail was and, how the way you dealt with customers and everything. So yeah, always kind of had that like link to fashion and kind of working with these brands. And then after after we sold the company, the fashion store, kind of went into brand consulting. So I was helping out a few different clients and then just kind of got a bit, you're just a bit tired about being in front of a computer, just getting square eyes and just kind of thinking, I want to get back to being a bit more creative. Ever since I was kind of younger throughout my kind of school career, I was very much like involved with, product design, graphics, that kind of thing. So I was very kind of hands-on creative. So I thought I didn't want to get involved with like t-shirt brands. I I kind of dipped my toe into that, and just looking around with the world in general, there's so many fast fashion brands out there. I didn't want to kind of contribute to, another t-shirt pile because there's so many out there anyway. And I think, with jewelry, especially my jewelry, it's all solid silvers and solid gold. So there's a bit of and recycled metals as well. So it's all very sustainable. It can be recycled, it could be melted down and reworked. So I think that was kind of one of the selling points, I guess, to kind of go into jewelry. And yeah, it's fun really. I think kind of working with the tools and designing. I get to draw the designs again and then kind of like make them so you kind of see them the start process all the way to the finished product. So yeah, that's kind of what swung it for me.
What stands out from your jewelry from anybody else's? Does it have a certain look? Does it have a vibe?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm biased, so obviously it's great. No, I think what I tried to do, like with kind of um, just working so closely with Vivienne Westwood in the past, I think the idea of integrity behind a product is very important, and to create a story that people want to invest into. And it's like it's not just a necklace, it's not just a pendant that you could buy anywhere. Like I wanted to create pieces that actually there was history behind the piece. Like you could go into and you could talk about the same necklace for like an hour, for instance, because it's inspired by the legend of the Kraken or vampires, Greek mythology, that kind of thing. So I guess it's not particularly anything new, but it's more, I guess dips into my branding background is like I want to create this brand behind each piece, so it has that depth rather than just being a piece of metal.
Does your life in Thailand reflect your designs?
At the minute, it hasn't, because obviously I haven't designed the collection that's live at the minute. Was all done prior to this. I've kind of started working on some new pieces, and it's just obviously very rough sketches in like like a little sketchbook. Like
Hmm.
I've got about 12 sketchbooks lying around with like different designs in each piece, like each book. So it's starting to kind of trickle through. I don't know, as a creative, you probably kind of appreciate when you get inspired by something. It's not like you get inspired very quickly and very like you. Everyone thinks, oh, you get inspired by anything really like suddenly, like you walk out of the door and oh wow, this is inspiration. It has to hit you at the right moment, I guess. And I think coming to Thailand I've only been here a month, so it's kind of like adjusting to the different kind of time zone, the kind of the pace of life, the way of life. Is like, where do I get my the things that I'm used to back home that you just take for granted. So I guess like at the minute I'm starting to kind of relax into it and kind of get a bit of kind of feel for, okay, what can I create from what I've seen already. So and yeah, so hopefully it's coming. I can feel it bubbling, but it's not there yet.
How do you manage social media and how important is that?
It's super important, especially nowadays. Well, it has been for a while, to be fair. Like I remember when Instagram came out. I remember my first Instagram was like this, like just a can of beans or something like that. It was terrible. But now there's so much that you can kind of do with it, and it's very, if you're not on it and you have a brand, then you're either very vocal in person about, and you're with the right people to sell it just by mouth. But I think you kind of have to have that strategy with an online, like a social media presence. That I, for like TikTok, for instance, I wasn't going to personally go on it. I kind of wanted to, take a step back from social media, because you kind of go into this like zombie mode, just scrolling, like doom scrolling through like Instagram, and I just didn't want that another platform to kind of do that with. But then obviously, like kind of the way people receive brands now, they want it to be like a personal connection. They don't necessarily want the brand to sell to them from the brand. So it kind of, I was realizing like maybe a week after I launched the jewelry TikTok, that's okay, I'm not really getting the traffic I need. So I launched my personal one, to kind of give like a, I guess, behind the scenes insight to the brand. But it was all a learning process. I think, I'm still learning TikTok and, Instagram. I mean,
I don't even get TikTok yet. I'm
yeah,
like the worst at TikTok, but I totally get what you mean. It's difficult to find your groove, I guess.
yeah. And as soon as you find your groove, they change it. They change the way the algorithm works and everything. And I think, and it's tricky. I think like the one thing I tell myself, and I try and tell everyone that I kind of work with, is that you don't let it like run your life or ruin your life. Like if a post doesn't do well, or if it's not kind of you know picking up the traffic that you want, it's like, okay, try something else. Don't get like into a pit of despair and then just give up. You just remember to have fun with it. I think it becomes, you can see how it's going, and they want you to kind of be hooked up onto these like social media platforms. They want you to kind of use it, and they want you to be like plugged in. And you just need to kind of remember to take a step back, and like if you can schedule things, do that. So you're not just like constantly on your phone, and take a look around, read a book. So I think that's what I tried to do. Obviously it's hard to kind of do that, and especially moving to a different country, it's then trying to figure out which time zone am I working with? Do I stick to the UK customer, which is obviously my, key customer base, or, am I, targeting something more Asia based? So yeah, it takes a bit of, you know, smoke and mirrors sometimes, but hopefully I'm getting there.
I love your TikTok. I love scrolling through TikTok. I'm not good at TikTok myself. I'm horrible at it, but I love yours because I like how personal it and like you're wearing your own jewelry and you're showing yourself getting ready and like it's more personal. And I think that's probably what a lot of the audience really enjoys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I try and keep it authentic as possible. I think there's so many people out there. I was saying the other day that, like, I feel like, obviously, as soon as you see one post on Instagram or TikTok, you obviously get flooded with similar things.
Yeah.
But all I see these days is like, oh, I've grown my account from zero to like 25,000 in a month. And it's like, I earned, I got a post that did 13 million views. It's like, where are these posts and things? It's like, it's all this clickbait. And I think I want to show kind of, this is the life of a startup brand,
Mhm.
someone that's a bit older than the usual
That's
TikTok.
that's the thing with myself as well. I'm like, where so at first when I first registered with TikTok, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like something my niece would do or something
Yeah,
like and at the time it was kind of COVID and everyone was doing silly TikToks and it's been interesting to see how TikTok, and I don't know if it's because it's what we're looking at, like you said earlier, as soon as you start looking at one thing, you get floods. But there's been like an evolution with TikTok and the ages and what you're actually looking at. So it's a lot of businesses and it's a lot of advertising, but in a good way because it's free advertisement for
yeah,
people like yourself who have your own company. It's a great thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's been really, really, like, TikTok in particular has been the kind of main source of traffic to my website, and I think not necessarily my business one, but my personal one. So it's kind of, it has been a blessing in the end. But if you would have asked me a year ago if I would be on TikTok, getting dressed, or, you know, getting ready with me videos, that kind of thing, I would have I would have cringed probably, but here I am.
And
So yeah,
are you enjoying it though? You must be.
yeah, I think it's one of those things, like, it's like, I guess, like, everyone really likes it, like, likes attention, but like, you don't really want to say you do. But I guess it's kind of, it's it is nice, it's flattering. I haven't had any negative kind of attention from it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's been fun. I think, I sometimes get stressed. It's like, oh, I don't know what to post today, and, I don't I've got a creative block and that kind of thing, and it's just, but then people, just the smallest thing, people might find interesting, or, like, where to, I'll probably do a video on it later on TikTok. There's like a small M&S food in the middle of Bangkok. It's like, a little slice of home. People might find that interesting, and it's like, you don't know what's gonna kind of, like, go over. So I guess it's just trial and error, and finding what works really. And if it doesn't work, find something else. But yeah, it's fun. Instagram annoys me, but just really just meta in general.
I'm an Instagram person. I'm like, for me, I prefer Instagram. That's my favorite platform. But for myself, and I've also had to like change my Instagram just because once Kevjet the podcast was born, Kevjet Instagram had to change because it was my personal Instagram. So I just really had to go through a lot of it and kind of like weed out some things. And that was interesting for me
Mm,
because I reached a point where I was like, do I have to create another personal Instagram or do I keep this one with, because everything I
yeah.
have is Kevjet everywhere. And so that was a big decision for me. I had to decide, do I start fresh? Do I keep going? It's so crazy to even be talking about followers and
I know. And it's like, fortunately for me, my original Instagram got, I don't know what happened, my account got deleted. So I was kind of going through a similar kind of, you know, similar thought system. It's like, oh, I'm kind of starting this brand. my Instagram's got like, 10 years of posts, some which, are great at the time, but, they don't really kind of like sync with your aesthetic
Sure.
right now. So, but fortunately for me, I kind of didn't have to make that decision in the end. So I had to start afresh completely. But yeah, it's kind of like figuring out, I think for me, it's kind of what do I want to put out there? My Instagram's got all my family, people that might necessarily appreciate me getting dressed on
Yeah, yeah.
a platform. So unfortunately, I'll probably, my friends and family will probably listen to this, and they'll probably know I've got TikTok now, but I won't tell them the username. They can just search my name. But yeah, it's kind of that's kind of what I try and kind of keep it separate, but I don't know. Yeah,
It's a fine
my
balance, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is
Yeah.
the curating what you want to kind of put out to the world, which I do enjoy. I enjoy kind of like saying, okay, well, I'll put this in this part. This is what you're allowed to see, and you kind of take a bit of control and power back because you are putting yourself out there, and you are putting yourself, open to ridicule or criticism. People, as soon as they see you on a platform, they'll want. There's a lot of people that would want to tear you down, but I've been fortunate to not experience any of that just yet. I mean, I've got the odd comment about like loving myself or that kind of thing, but I mean, yeah, it's just confidence at the end of the day.
It is. I totally agree. And I haven't had any negative with the whole Kevjet and
Yeah,
my Instagram stuff, which I was
that's good.
expecting. Yeah. And people often ask me, and I have a friend of mine who's has like the craziest followers, and you anytime we go anywhere, I mean, she steals the limelight. But she calls them her haters, and she has this group of people that just whenever she's doing something great, they just kind of go in for the attack on social media. But she doesn't react, and I hope that's the way I would be as well.
Yeah, that's what they want. They want their reaction, isn't it? But at the end of the day, any a hateful comment is engagement. So
Yeah,
let them hate.
exactly. What's the biggest adjustment in Thailand for you?
I think losing my routine back home. I think I was kind of after starting a business and kind of having that extra free time. You kind of um you can set your own hours. So I would go to the gym first thing, do like a 12-8 shift rather than, like whatever. Um, and then all my food was prepared. I know what my kind of like food intake was and everything, not to be like all about gym and stuff. But and yeah, I guess just kind of having to restart a new routine in a different country with a language that's hard. Thankfully, a lot of people speak English here, but you still it's not English on the products, and you kind of have to figure it out. And they used to, it's it's a completely different world out here. And I think trying to recreate your routine that you had back home is kind of a bit, what's the word? Uh, Arrogant, I guess. You've moved to Thailand, you can't expect to live that English life anymore. So you kind of have to adapt. And I think that was the biggest adjustment. Yes, that was kind of the hardest thing. I think also, not being able to physically make my jewelry was kind of like a kind of a realization. I kind of have to, adapt with that as well. So it's kind of, I'm not, I am intending to go back home next year, and then I'll do like a batch of, handmade pieces then. So it's just kind of, shuffling a few things around. Yeah, I've always wanted to teach myself 3D design on a computer. So this is a perfect opportunity to do that now. So it's just kind of figuring it out, really. Yeah, so I think that was the hardest thing.
Where did the name Towards Another World come from?
It was actually on a war monument back home in Plymouth. I was walking. I don't know if you've ever been to Plymouth, but there's like a promenade called the Hoe, and there's very kind of there's loads of war memorials. It's like right next to the Navy base, I think, and there's just this like tiny little monument that was like kind of overgrown by trees, and it just had this, it just said towards another world on the plinth. And I just thought it was very kind of like quite powerful, really. This way is kind of obviously from the past, and but it's like looking forward, and it's obviously the meaning can be interpreted in so many different ways. It's like, what is the other world? Is it like just moving to another country? Is there another world out there? Or, is a world like a story world or a film world, that kind of thing? And I think it just opens it up for so many different interpretations. And then so when I had the store in Bristol, we did our own brand of t-shirt brands, which I was mentioning earlier. And that was kind of the sub slogan of that brand. So it was there already. And then I just kind of brought it over because I thought it kind of fitted with the kind of, film story narrative that I was kind of going to use as inspiration for the collections.
I love that.
I'm not really like a wartime enthusiast. It was just it just stood out to me. It was like on this brass or maybe a copper plaque in this kind of like Times New Roman font. And yeah, I think it was just very poignant. Obviously, there's probably other meanings for the monument, but I don't want to be cancelled. But
I love it.
yeah, it's quite yeah. I'll probably end up shortening it to tour because it's a bit of a mouthful for people, and everyone calls it tomorrow as well. So
What is a day in the life of creating your social media posts?
wow, good question. So I kind of at the minute I'm kind of winging it a bit whilst I'm out here. It's really hard because obviously my personal TikTok, it would be very fashion outfit led, and I'd have like, from working in over a decade in fashion, I'd have like a wardrobe full of pieces that I could kind of pull from. But here I've just got a backpack, so I'm kind of recycled used all my outfits. People need to send me some clothes.
Has that
So
happened?
no, not
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Maybe if I get over 10,000, I'm not sure. I'm working on it. Yeah, so any designers out there? So yeah, I guess it was kind of like going back to what works and what doesn't work. I was kind of getting a lot less views out here, and I don't know whether that's because I was trying to still appeal, because we're 6 hours ahead of you guys back in the UK. So to post, I would usually post at like 8 p.m. in the UK. So to do that here, it would be like 1, I think, in the morning. So I try and leave it as late as possible, which would usually be about like 11:30 here, but that's like 5:30, I think. With regards to the day, I would try and incorporate more of my jewelry now, and come up with like jewelry hacks, or you know things that people will kind of save, or that kind of thing, and think like that. Is like, what kind of inspirational posts can I come up with? And sometimes it's really hard. Like I struggle myself, and I need inspiration with towards another world. It's kind of, what product do I want to push right now? What product do I have the stock levels of to kind of, so that's a bit easier. I can kind of get away with just doing like product shots and that. So that's not too taxing. But yeah, for me, it's kind of like, okay, what am I doing tomorrow? And that's kind of how far I'll plan at the minute. I think what I've what I've what I've been able to do, and like lucky to be working with a few photographers out here that have done a few photo shoots with. So and kind of what I'm trying to do is just build up a kind of bank of content that I can kind of filter through as and when. That's kind of where my kind of planning is going at the minute. I'd like to be a bit more prepared, but I think once I'm a bit more settled, I can kind of think, okay, this is what I'm doing this week.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
trying really hard to not be a travel influencer. And
that was going to be one of my questions, actually.
yeah, I don't know, like there's so many out there, and I kind of my interest in my passion. I hate that word, that phrase, passion for fashion, but um that is where my interest is, and I want to. That's kind of what I want my niche to be, and I kind of want to dictate my journey rather than have it dictated for me. I kind of want to keep control over like my brand aesthetic and figure it out. It might be harder, but I'm willing to put in that extra effort so I don't have to change, if you know what I mean.
Of course. And it's more honest and more true.
Yep.
So your social posts on, like, for TikTok, for example, you film everything yourself. Is that how it works, or do you have help, or how does that work?
I film all myself. No, I try and do it. I get so embarrassed when I have to do it in public. Like I cannot tell you how embarrassed I get. So I try and film a lot of it in private, just my camera, my iPhone and a light. And then yeah, I'll edit it. Like my partner, like terrible at taking photos. So like I can't given up asking. So yeah, I'll try and film everything. I've just got a little iPhone stand and a light. So yeah, and then that's basically it really. I've got for my jewelry brand, I'll use my proper camera, that kind of thing. So
So have you had to like learn the whole editing process from fresh, or was that something you were already involved with?
I've been self-taught with it all really, but being kind of very website content focused with my career, I've kind of like grown up with it. So I have like over 15 years of working with like editing software and like Adobe and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like once you know how, it's very transferable onto, like it's all really much like the same thing, like working with lighting, like contrast, filters, I guess. And I guess you figure out your like the kind of aesthetic you want for your videos as well. So you don't really have to do too much. I was looking back through my Instagram, TikTok, just like trying to figure out like what's working, what's not working, that kind of thing. And a lot of my like early TikToks, I'm there like dancing around in my underwear and getting dressed and stuff. And I haven't done much of that, but I'm trying to kind of move it away from that to be a bit more kind of like serious, I guess.
But
Not
that
too
kind of
serious.
that kind of draws attention though, doesn't it? So that brings people
Yeah,
to your site. So
exactly.
it's very
So,
clever. It's like
yeah,
you figured
it's
it
like
out.
felt.
You just figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it does work, and those posts do get the most kind of engagement, and I'm not ashamed of doing it. So it's just one of those things,
Well, it's
isn't
also
it?
fun. Like you're having fun.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's not hurting anyone. So
No, exactly. I have this big discussion lately with friends who have joined OnlyFans, and that has been like the hot topic
mm,
every dinner party we've had lately. And it's so interesting to see how some people are like, "That's so cool," and they want to like ask all the questions and know all the things. And then there's always that one person in the corner being like, "This is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard," and just because they don't get it. And
yeah,
so it's just, I mean, it's different to dancing around in your underwear on TikTok, but
yeah.
it's kind of the same thing in a way. It doesn't hurt anybody, and it's,
No,
yeah.
I've had so many requests to start an OnlyFans. I was like, when the money's dried up, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Have your jewelry on the side.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, it's such a strange world. The way that social media has taken over is,
Yeah,
it can be a really great thing. What do you think about AI?
I think someone was chatting to me the other day about it. You know, I think it's one of those things where there's certain aspects of it which are really scary, like the deep fake videos of you know celebrities that you don't know if it's them or it's not them. Using their voice, that is scary, and I don't feel the need for it. I think it's a bit like it's like hackers. It's like they're annoying. It's like let's stop creating confusion.
Mhm.
Let's try and keep this world as genuine as possible. And let's not like trick people. But I think when it comes to, especially for people like me that don't have a plethora of money for shoots all the resources to kind of like like a studio and that kind of thing, and you want to create like an interesting backdrop, and you've used the same table like 16 times, I think why not? I think become the master of the tool. Don't let the tool master you. And I think if you know how to use it and you use it respectfully, why not? I don't see a problem with it. It's when people try and create, like they misguide you and use it for harm or use it for like negative things. I think there's no need for it. There's enough of that in the world. Let's use it to create art. Let's use it to, help young designers or young artists or people that just want to have fun. And it's just like painting at the end of the day. There's like photorealism painting that's basically like a photo. Like, is there a difference? Is it just a new type of media that people are using to create some kind of art? But funny, before I came on this, there's this person on Instagram that posts these like tutorials to how to use Firefly. It's like an Adobe AI assistant when it comes to creating images and stuff. And the comments, he did like a screenshot for his story. People just like saying, "Oh, you're not an artist, you're disgusting," that kind of thing. And I was just like, so I messaged him because I thought if he's getting this hate, it should be nice to hear some positivity. And I just said, look, I find your videos really useful and they've helped me create some great like images, that kind of thing. So you keep going, hopefully. So yeah, I do definitely think there's like a space for it. I just think it needs to be managed in the right way. I think everyone fears the unknown, don't they? It's like with everything. It's like with every kind of, you know, scaremongering, isn't it? At the end of the day,
Exactly.
the media like want to push something, and it's
Yeah.
just, let's not get into that, but
No. Exactly.
save that for another podcast.
Exactly. Let's move on to Kevjet's quick fire questions.
Okie doke.
You ready for this?
Oh God.
It's not that bad. Favorite city to visit?
Tokyo.
Do you karaoke?
Badly.
Can you play a musical instrument?
No, sadly. I tried many times, but
What's
failed.
your what's your favorite word?
My favorite word. Oh God. I don't know. Oh, speechless now. Can't think of any. What do I say all the time? I don't know. Probably something embarrassing. I can't think. Next.
Are you a morning or a night person?
No, a mid-afternoon person.
Oh,
I'd say night. Yeah, more night than morning for sure.
TikTok or Instagram?
TikTok.
Sunsets or sunrise?
Sunset.
What is your passion?
My passion is to create authentic things that people love to wear around their neck. They're made of
Uh,
gold.
what's one word that you would want other people to associate with you?
Genuine.
What trait do you value most in a relationship?
Love.
What brings you happiness?
Adventures.
Do you have a nickname?
Oh. Not that I'm aware of. Probably.
What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done in public?
Oh God, there's many. I think I'm just like goofy in general. I don't mean to be. I get my words muddled up. And I can be really dumb sometimes and just like oblivious to what's going on around me. So I'm that friend that someone says don't look now and I'll look, like my neck spins 360. So probably that.
What do
Well,
you miss the
there's probably
most?
a lot more.
There's what? A whole other
There's probably a lot
podcast.
worse though. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you miss the most from the UK?
My friends and family.
Do you have a hidden talent?
Um, no. Sadly. I was thinking this the other day, it's like, what would my party trick be? And I'm like, I've got nothing. Then I was like, oh God, I need to learn a party trick. I'm like, what can I do? So I tried to do a handstand. Oh no, can't do that.
What's your favorite way to unwind?
I go to the gym. I think, yeah, that's been my savior the past few years, I think.
What's your favorite cocktail?
Margarita, no
Ooh,
salt.
very nice. Most used app on your phone?
Probably Instagram, TikTok, annoyingly.
Boxers or briefs?
Boxes.
Favorite scent?
Aqua de Palma, the one with the like the brownie silvery label. I can never remember what it's called. Or there's like a Louis Vuitton one called Sur La Rue, I think.
Oh yeah, that
I've
one.
actually got quite a few actually. I can list them, but I won't bore you.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Goofy, kind, and loyal.
What does friendship mean to you?
Having that person that it doesn't matter if you've seen them yesterday or a year ago or 5 years ago, as soon as you see them next, it's like nothing's changed. Having that person that you haven't spoken to on the phone for a while, and they're not going to call you out on it. They know they're your friend, and you don't need to stress about that. You shouldn't stress about friendship. Like true friends should just be there no matter what, and they don't need like constant attention, if you know what I mean. Because I'm terrible at texting and calling. I hate speaking on the phone, so I'm like a texter. But even then, I'm rubbish. But I'll message out of the blue, or I'll send like a meme to my friend on Instagram, and it's just like nothing's changed. So yeah,
Same with me. That's what I love about friendship. What does
yeah.
success mean to you?
I feel like this has changed a lot. I know these are quick fire questions, and I'm like deeping. So I think happiness is probably success. I think it used to be like money, it used to be like fame, it used to be like all this. But I think if you're satisfied and happy and you've kind of achieved where you wanted to be or gotten to where you wanted to be, and you haven't hurt anyone, or you haven't like kind of you've done it nicely and you're happy with yourself, I feel like that's success, I guess. And it's constant, like it's always moving. Success can be like different bars, I guess.
Are you an emotional person?
Unfortunately, I'm a very emotional person.
It's not unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm the one that cries at like anything on the TV.
Oh, welcome to my world.
They're like crying. I'm like, no,
Are you a Swiftie?
not a Swifty, unfortunately. So many
Uh,
people believe that.
yeah. Do you believe in the afterlife?
I really want to believe there's something after this. Um, what it is, no idea. I'm not religious, but I think it's nice to have like it's nice to think there's something rather than nothing. So why not believe in something? Keep the magic alive.
Exactly. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years' time, I want to have a store in Tokyo and New York. I think, yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm manifesting at the minute, especially Tokyo. I love that city. So like if I could have some kind of retail location in one of those big cities, I think I'd be happy. Probably very stressful and very grey, but um that'd be something to tick off my list. But yeah, I
Shower or
think
bath?
shower.
What motivates you?
I think just to keep doing this, just I think having your own thing, like this jewelry, and like being able to come to Thailand or wherever, is the motivation to keep it going. I've kind of like I think the feeling of going back to a 9 to 5 job is the biggest like kick up the butt to keep me going, I think. So as long as I am able to do this, that's what motivates me, I guess.
Favorite band?
Don't say Spice Girls. Don't say Spice Girls. No, I think I'm quite like a lot of 80s music to be honest. So I really like kind of Def Leppard, that kind of thing. So yeah, that kind of vibe, I guess. I hate it when people ask me music questions because if you went through my Spotify,
Same with me.
yeah, put your Spotify. No, I don't have it.
They're like, "Are you bipolar?"
Yeah, this is what I'm getting from
Yeah. How many moods do you have?
your playlist doesn't match your so that's permanently locked.
Last question, and I ask this to all my male guests. What does being a man mean to you?
I think the idea of being a man to me is being respectful, chivalrous, being strong, but being emotional as well. Like my my parents divorced when I was very young, so I was brought up, my dad was very involved, but my mum was probably like, the main caregiver, I guess. So I really respect women and powerful women, and kind of I think we're living in a world where, you know, equality is so important. I think it's just being, respectful to each other, um, and leading by example, but also just like listening and being nice, being respectful, being like a nice man, like a gentleman. And I'm not really into like being bravado. Like, yeah, I've worked in fashion, so like you know, I've been around the most colorful people, like from diverse backgrounds, and so yeah, it's just I guess being true to you and to everyone around you, and being respectful. I guess that's such a long answer.
I love it. It's always a long answer when I ask that question, and
Yeah,
the answers
it's
are all
tricky,
very
isn't it?
similar. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I think it's very tricky for a lot of people. I think that the world is changing. I think everyone expects everyone to change instantly and quickly. And I think you just need to give a bit of tolerance to like people that you know that different things are happening. So like help each other understand things and talk and call someone out if
exactly,
you do something. Um, and yeah, I think that'll help rather than like berating someone for not understanding straight away. For
exactly. And I think that's the power of social media. And just like for my podcast, people often say to me, "I actually listened to the episode about whatever, and it's something that I would not be interested in, but I actually learned and I understand it now."
yeah,
And you'll hear the same with your social media, and they'll be like, "Thank you for doing that," because people relate to things that you least expect.
yeah, exactly. And that, I'd much rather someone call me out for something than like kind of talk behind my back about it. Like just come to me if I ever say anything that's offensive, just say, look, this is, you really shouldn't have said that. I'm like, oh, I didn't know, so I won't
Exactly.
say it. But
Exactly.
how
Have a
else will
com
anyone learn and like evolve if they're not told? So
exactly. Ask questions.
exactly, yeah.
Thank you,
I
Michael.
think that's important to ask questions.
It
You shouldn't be
is.
afraid of asking questions, I think.
No.
No,
Thank
thank you for having me.
yeah, no, it's been a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. My first ever podcast.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm so
Amazing.
nervous.
Amazing.